You are sitting at the dinner table looking at your plate. You sincerely believe you are doing the right thing for your health. Perhaps your doctor, that general practitioner who barely made eye contact at your last checkup, told you to cut red meat and eat more vegetables. Maybe your wife, worried about your heart, swapped steak for lighter, greener, more natural options. As a responsible man who wants to live longer and see his grandchildren grow up, you obey. You eat the salad. You choose the vegetarian option at the business lunch. You feel virtuous. But what if I told you that, without knowing it, with every forkful you might be sabotaging the very essence of what makes you a man? What if I told you that some of these specific vegetables are acting like a pulled handbrake on your testosterone production? This is happening precisely now, after age 50, when you need it most. I am Dr. Richard Powell. In my urology practice, I see men just like you every day. These men come to me frustrated, tired, with zero libido, and feeling like the physical and mental strength they always had is slipping through their fingers. They tell me they are doing everything right. They are exercising, sleeping as best they can, and eating healthy. But when we look at their blood tests, their testosterone levels are pathetic. These are levels I would expect to see in a 90-year-old man, not someone who is 55 or 60. When we investigate their diet thoroughly, we often find the culprits hidden right where no one suspects, in the healthy foods. Don't misunderstand me. I am not against vegetables. On the contrary, nature gives us powerful tools to fight prostate cancer and improve circulation. But not everything that grows on Earth is your friend. The biology of a mature man is a delicate balance. After 50, your natural hormone factory is no longer operating at maximum capacity. This is biology. It's natural. What is not natural is introducing chemical compounds through food that confuse your endocrine system. These compounds mimic female estrogen and tell your testicles to stop working. That is what we need to discuss today. This is a frank, man-to-man, doctor-to-patient conversation. We will talk about 3 specific plant-based foods you need to eliminate or drastically reduce. You must do this if you want to maintain your virility, muscle mass, and vital energy. Let's start by understanding the landscape. What happens in a man's body when he crosses the age 50 threshold? There is a protein in your blood called SHBG, or sex hormone-binding globulin. Imagine it like a school bus transporting testosterone through your body. When you were young, in your 20s or 30s, you had a lot of testosterone and few of these buses. This meant there was a lot of free testosterone. This is the testosterone that gets off the bus and goes to work. It builds muscle, generates erections, and provides mental clarity. As you age, the level of this SHBG protein rises. It sequesters your testosterone and won't let it work. Now, add the aromatase enzyme to this. Aromatase is the villain of the story for many older men. It takes your precious testosterone and converts it into estradiol, which is an estrogen. That's right. The male hormone turns into a female hormone. This is why some men develop man boobs, accumulate fat around the hips, and become more emotional or depressed with age. The secret to male longevity is not just boosting testosterone, it is preventing it from being converted into estrogen. This is where your diet becomes a trap. There are foods that accelerate this conversion. Others introduce phytohormones that mimic estrogen in your body. When your brain detects these elevated levels of fake hormone, it interprets that you have enough hormone circulating. It then sends a signal to your testicles to stop production. This is a vicious cycle of chemical castration via food. The first food you need to stop consuming immediately, and I cannot be more emphatic about this, is soy and all its derivatives. I know. The advertising says it is heart-healthy. They say it is the protein of the future. But let me be clear. For male physiology, soy is a time bomb. Soy contains an extremely high concentration of isoflavones, specifically genistein and didezyne. These compounds are what we call phytoestrogens. Their molecular structure is disturbingly similar to human estrogen. When you ingest soy, whether it's the soy milk in your coffee, tofu, or worse, the textured soy protein hidden in processed burgers, cereal bars, and cheap supplements, you are flooding your body with these estrogen imitators. What happens then? These phytoestrogens bind to estrogen receptors in your body. Your hypothalamus, the command center in the brain, notices this increased estrogenic activity. Its response is immediate. It reduces the production of luteinizing hormone, LH. LH is the signal that travels from the brain to the testicles, ordering them to produce testosterone. No signal means no production. The factory closes its doors. There are serious clinical studies on this. One specific study observed an elderly man who developed gynecomastia, or breast growth, and severe erectile dysfunction. When doctors analyzed his diet, they saw he consumed large amounts of soy milk. When he cut out soy, the symptoms regressed. Of course, this is an extreme case. However, in smaller and constant doses, the cumulative effect over decades is devastating to your virility. Soy is also one of the world's most genetically modified foods. It is loaded with glyphosate, a herbicide that is, in itself, an endocrine disruptor. So, if you want to protect your prostate and your potency, cross soy off your list. There is no reason for an adult man to consume it. Leave soy for those who do not care about their own masculinity. The second food will surprise many of you. It seems innocent. It is fresh, aromatic, and used in teas, Middle Eastern salads, and green juices. I am talking about mint. Yes, spearmint and peppermint. You might think, Dr. Powell, a cup of mint tea can't do any harm? Wrong. Mint is one of the most potent plants in nature for reducing free testosterone. In fact, in some cultures and herbal medicine, concentrated mint teas were historically used to decrease excessive libido or to treat women with excess body hair. This is precisely because it destroys androgens, the male hormones. Studies performed on rodents and later observations in humans showed that menthol and the essential oils present in mint directly affect the Leydig cells in the testicles. Leydig cells are the workers in your testosterone factory. Exposure to mint compounds induces oxidative stress in these cells. This stress reduces their ability to synthesize the hormone. I am not saying that if you chew mint gum once a week, you will become impotent. But I am talking about habits. That daily cup of mint tea at night to relax, that green juice with lots of mint every morning, the tabbouleh full of herbs. If you are already over 50 and your levels are on the lower limit, this habit could be the final drop that pushes you into hypogonadism. Swap the mint tea for ginger tea. Ginger has the opposite effect. It stimulates blood flow, improves arterial health, crucial for erections, and evidence suggests a modest but real increase in testosterone. It is a simple switch. Out with the suppressor, in with the stimulant. Now the third item is technically a grain. However, it is consumed and treated as a vegetable on the table of most men. Sweet corn, and by extension, the vegetable oils derived from it. The problem with modern corn is not the corn our ancestors ate 1,000 years ago. Today's corn problem is twofold. First, it is a sugar bomb. Sweet corn has a very high glycemic index. When you eat canned corn or sweet corn on the cob, you are spiking your insulin. Here is a golden rule of male endocrinology that you need to tattoo on your mind. High insulin and high testosterone cannot coexist in the same body. When insulin rises to deal with blood sugar, testosterone falls. Insulin resistance, which is the precursor to type 2 diabetes and extremely common in men over 50 with that belly, is the biggest killer of erections that exists. But the issue runs deeper with corn. The vast majority of corn produced in the world today is treated with a pesticide called atrazine. Atrazine is a notorious chemical contaminant. There are famous studies conducted by the University of California that showed atrazine exposure transformed male frogs into females, literally. The frogs exposed to the chemical developed ovaries and began laying eggs. Atrazine activates the aromatase enzyme. Remember that one? The one that turns testosterone into estrogen. Even if you do not live on a farm, residues of this pesticide are in the non-organic corn you buy at the supermarket and in the corn and soy oils you use for cooking. By consuming these products, you are ingesting microdoses of a chemical that induces hormonal feminization. For a 20-year-old man with bursting testosterone, the body might be able to cope. For you, a man in your 50s, 60s, or 70s, this is playing against your own team. So what is left? Is Dr. Powell telling me to live on air? Absolutely not. The elimination of these three villains, soy, excessive mint, and non-organic corn, opens up space for the real heroes of male health. I want you to eat vegetables, but I want you to eat tactical vegetables. Think of your diet as a military strategy. The mature man's best friend is the cruciferous family: broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, and cabbage. Why these? Because they contain a magical compound called indole 3-carbinol, which turns into DIM, diindolylmethane, in the stomach. DIM does the exact opposite of what soy does. It helps the liver process and eliminate excess estrogen from your body. It cleans up the system. Less circulating estrogen means your testosterone can reign supreme again. Imagine broccoli as a cleaning crew that climbs into your bloodstream and sweeps out the female hormones that are blocking your receptors. I recommend my patients eat broccoli or cauliflower at least 3 to 4 times a week. Steam them lightly to preserve the nutrients. Do not boil them until they turn into gray mush. That kills the beneficial enzymes. Another essential group is foods rich in zinc and healthy saturated fats. Spinach, for example, is rich in magnesium, which increases the bioavailability of testosterone. Avocado is an excellent source of monounsaturated fat and boron, a mineral that also helps regulate hormones. Do you notice the difference? Instead of vegetables that mimic estrogen, we are choosing vegetables that clean up estrogen or provide the raw material for testosterone. It is also important to talk about the cooking method. Many men take a healthy vegetable and ruin it by frying it in inflammatory vegetable oil, soy, corn, or canola oil. These oils are rich in omega-6, which is pro-inflammatory. Systemic inflammation in the body increases cortisol, the stress hormone. Biologically, cortisol and testosterone are mortal enemies. The human body, in its primitive wisdom, thinks, if cortisol is high, we are in danger. If we are in danger, it is not time to reproduce. And it cuts testosterone. Therefore, starting today, I want to propose a challenge to you. For the next 30 days, clean out your pantry. Throw away any product containing soy protein isolate, soy milk, or refined vegetable oils. Stop the constant mint tea or mint candies. Replace these with steamed broccoli, whole eggs. Yes, the cholesterol in the egg is the basis for creating testosterone. Do not be afraid of it. Extra virgin olive oil and high-quality meats. you will notice something interesting happening. In the first week, perhaps it is just a decrease in abdominal bloating, since you removed inflammatory foods. In the second week, you may start to feel a little more energy when you wake up, less of that morning mental fog. But it is around the third or fourth week that the hormonal magic starts to manifest. Libido, that desire that seemed dormant, begins to show signs of life. The willingness for physical activities returns. That persistent fat around the waist starts to give way more easily. This is not a miracle. It is pure physiology. You stopped poisoning your hormone factory and gave it the right building blocks for production. Modern medicine loves to prescribe pills and injections. I prescribe synthetic testosterone when it is clinically necessary, of course. But the first line of defense, and the most powerful, is what you put on the end of your fork 3 times a day. Do not accept the idea that aging means becoming weak, sexless, and frail. That is a lie someone told you so you would resign yourself. I see men in their 70s and 70s in my practice who have hormone levels of 40-year-olds. This is simply because they learned to shield their bodies against these endocrine disruptors. They have active sex lives. They have muscle mass. They have vitality. You can be one of those men. The choice is yours every time you go to the supermarket. Will you choose the foods that chemically castrate you or the foods that strengthen your masculinity? I know which choice I make, and now you have the knowledge to make yours. Remember, your prostate is yours, and your health is yours. No one will take care of it better than yourself. Take care of your temple. If this conversation made sense to you, if you felt you learned something no one ever had the courage to tell you with such clarity, I have more information to share. The male body is a fascinating machine, but it needs the correct instruction manual. Let's keep exploring how to protect your prostate, strengthen your erections, and live with maximum potency. I will be here to guide you on this path. Until next time. The Alpha Senior.